It's going to be a weird episode. I didn't plan on filming it. It's totally unscripted. I don't usually script, but I usually think about things or take notes. This is just off the cuff entirely. And the reason why is because I didn't know I'd need to do this episode. I didn't know it was necessary. I took for granted that everybody had seen this film 500 times, like I have. But essentially, the story behind this is I've been going through some werewolf movies lately, just enjoying it, getting that Halloween hangover nostalgia going, watching the Howling movies, and I wanted to get American Werewolf in London because I realized I never brought it to Pittsburgh with me. And so I got it on Blu-ray, and here's the copy that I got. It's really nice. I've seen it on the big screen before, and this looks just as good as I remember looking on the big screen. I mean, it just looks better than it ever has as far as I'm concerned. And trust me, I'm no expert. But I was telling people I was so excited to watch it, telling coworkers and just friends I was texting in the week leading up to it, and nobody knew what American Werewolf in London is. Nobody had seen of it, and in fact, they hadn't even heard of it, which was horrifying. I mean, I should have put some kind of warning ahead because some of you probably screamed or vomited when I mentioned that. So I realized that I take for granted these movies I grew up with, these classic movies from past generations. Not everybody's seeking out like I had. Not everybody has parents that are introducing them to these movies like I had. So I'm very fortunate in that regard. But I'm just going to get into it here. It's going to be a quickie. So the movie's directed by John Landis, who is unfortunately known as a guy who was directing a scene in which a couple of his actors, including a child actor, had been unfortunately killed in a stunt accident involving a helicopter. And his career was basically over. His son, Max Landis, is a little more known now. He's kind of, I use a B tier, where people like movie geeks know him, but he's not mainstream or anything. And he had some controversy of his own. But the thing is that John Landis was one of the best directors working in his time. I mean, he has like Animal House, Kentucky Fried Movie, this, including his segments in Twilight Zone, the movie, which I really enjoy. Unfortunately, there was that tragedy that kind of cast a shadow over his career and basically ended it. But I mean, he was as good as it gets as far as directors go. And this film, in my opinion, is his best. I mean, it is incredible. It is A++. You do not get better than an American Werewolf in London. It just feels so redundant even talking about it, as though it's like talking about the Beatles. Like, do you want me to tell you why Hey Jude's a great song? Do you need me to do that? Because like I'm like way down here, and that's way up, way over my head, and that's American Werewolf in London. I mean, it is as classic as you can hope for, and I'm gonna break it down, but I just don't even see a point in it. First of all, I gotta mention, John Landis, like I said, did those classic comedy movies, and he brings that flavor to a werewolf film. And there's scenes, my favorite one, the one that I think is most evocative of his comedy tropes, is of course when the main character, David Naughton, is talking to Jenny, a gutter nurse, and she's talking about her sexual history, and it's clear that something's going to happen. There's this tension throughout the movie up till this point. And she says, I should probably go take a shower. And a music cue starts, and it's just this wide shot of him just like waiting. And he's like kind of like, going back and forth. You tell it's like going in his head. It's got this like kind of cocky, almost frat boy attitude. And then he walks in and immediately just like a hard cut to them having sex in the shower. And it's just such a fun movie. There's a lot of tragedy in the movie too, ironically. Talking about what I was discussing earlier with the director's career, where it begins with two friends who are hitchhiking across the countryside, and they're best friends. They're talking. They're to high school together. They're talking to these other characters you never see on screen. They feel like real friends. I mean, they feel like real people. And the interesting thing to me is that I keep forgetting people's names just so sexy. I love this cast so much. I'm just so bad with names. Oh, Griffin Dunne. So his character actually is more fleshed out. And it's such a great rug pull because he's a character you identify more with at the beginning. He's the one talking about his crush. He's the one talking about his life and stuff. And really, the main character is just reacting to it. I believe their names are David and Jack. And David is the survivor, played by Naughton. And Jack is Griffin Dunne. I could be mistaken. Once again, I'm terrible with names. But it's such a shock. They go into a tavern, the slaughtered lamb, and there's just some funny stuff there, making fun of the tropes about just the creepy locals and all that. A really good joke with the Alamo, and just the extras in this scene. The actors are just so entertaining. Just exactly what I picture and exactly what I want going to such a tavern if I ever was to. And they go out in the moors. There's a lot of just insider film geek jokes and stuff. Like, it's not a joke, but a reference, an homage, of course, to the Hound of the Baskervilles and the Moors and Sherlock Holmes. And that's when Jack is killed and David is taken to the hospital. He wakes up. They're told that an escaped lunatic killed his friend. He says, no, it's a wolf. He has these dreams, really memorable stuff. Him running naked in the woods, which has this great shot my friends and I used to watch on a loop in high school and just laugh about, with him jumping naked over a log, just this like dainty little skip during this horror scene, and eating a deer raw, just hunting it down and ripping its head off. One where he's home with his family, and they're attacked by these Nazi zombies. Really visceral, gory dream sequence, just amazing and campy and great. So much of the film is about growing up and coming of age, in terms of like growing hair and, getting this hunger as a man. And also this bit about Jewish identity with the Nazi stuff and all that. There's a joke early on about castration and how it's become more normal. It's not like overt or in your face or anything through most of the movie, but it's just something that's a little more personal, a little more interesting that I appreciate when I watch it. And essentially, I mean, from there on, it plays out as a werewolf movie. It's a full moon. He transforms. Rick Baker does the best, bar none, werewolf transformation of all time. Arguably the best werewolf design of all time. I personally prefer the original, the Howling design, finalized, which Rick Baker was working on and left to work on this for, thank God. But I love the standing werewolves. I love the rabbit ears on them. But this film, the transformation, I mean, the music playing, the shot, just little moments, like a shot to the Mickey Mouse statue as he's transforming, just screaming, the way that the actor is just like screaming in pain about it burning and rips his clothes off, and you see the hand grow longer and longer, and then fingernails coming out, and when the snout finally comes out at the end of that side shot, it's just one of the most satisfying moments in film. The chase sequence with the werewolf are some of the most suspenseful and best ever. His relationship, even though it is very cinematic in the sense it's kind of unbelievable, with him falling in love with the nurse that takes care of him in the hospital and they start a relationship, is just really charming. And you really like both characters and root for them. Unfortunately, you know that it's probably not going to end well. The moments where he calls his family before he contemplates killing himself and tells his little sister, like, I love you. No, really, I'm not being a goof. Tell everyone I love them, and stuff like that. Is just, it works so well on an emotional level, and it's funny. And it's just got this great humanity to it. And probably the best part of the movie, aside from the werewolf itself, is, of course, Jack, David's friend that was killed by the werewolf, who visits him and says, I'm undead, I'm forced to walk the earth as a ghost, essentially, until the werewolf's bloodline ends. You need to kill yourself. And eventually, as he kills people, more and more people start showing up and saying, you killed me, you took me away from my family, my wife's a widow now, kill yourself, you're selfish by living, and this is what your bloodlust has caused, and just giving David this great guilt as it goes on. The sequence right near the end, the very end, in Piccadilly Square, is just one of the most exciting and just kind of comedic, it's almost slapstick in how it plays out, scenes ever. I mean, it's just up there for me in terms of all-time favorite movie scenes. Really, like I said, it's so redundant me talking about this movie because it's just praise. I have nothing negative to say about the movie. It has one of the best soundtracks ever. This was actually one of my first favorite albums ever. Bad Moon Rising by CCR playing, and Blue Moon is some of the stuff that got me into music as a teenager. I really kind of hit that late. I didn't have interest in music until around the time I was watching this movie, and it really clicked for me and really shaped my taste to come. And I don't know what else to say. It's just a perfect movie. The only one that's even in the same world as this movie for me is The Wolfman. And I love werewolf movies. I mean, that is my stuff. I love The Howling. I love Dog Soldiers. I love Ginger Snaps. I like werewolf movies a ton. Even Trick or Treat has an amazing werewolf sequence. But I wouldn't call that a werewolf movie. It's just one of the segments of 4 or 5. But this is as good as it gets. I mean, it is... It's not even a 10 out of 10. It's an 11 out of 10. It's A++. If you're a film fan, if you're a horror fan, if you're just a casual moviegoer, this movie just hits on every level. It is essential. You cannot do better. I'm repeating myself so much, but that's really all I have to say. On a final note, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. I know there are some people who don't like this movie, which I don't quite understand, but whatever, that's your opinion, that's cool. But one thing I just want to reiterate that I haven't focused on enough is I am taking submissions to talk about in Halloween Hangover. So if you have like a horror short story or something, send it my way and I will talk about it on here. It has to be short. I'm sorry. I can do novellas at most. I think next week, hopefully, I'm hoping next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, I'll have the first book review up for Halloween Hangover, which I'm really excited about. The author's just incredible and just one of the coolest people, and I love her writing, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get into that. But for now, that's pretty much it. I mean, once again, please like, subscribe. Go over to Lexi Spino's YouTube channel. Subscribe to her. Eric Zavinski, subscribe to him. He does Too Cool for the Comic Shop with me. Check out Lexi Spino's book, The Electra Complex. Over at her YouTube, she has a great performance video that just came up, I think, yesterday. She's got a live performance coming up on December 7th or 10th, early December anyhow. Check that out. We got a new book coming out, Atomic Fly Swatter Volume 1, an anthology, about 30 incredible writers that we're so excited to share their work with you. And for now, that's it. Thank you.